Here we go. Looks like map 1 is gonna be Blackburn. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Blackburn, we have the Chinese Terran player. He just took down one of the best in Brazil, and now he's up against the best in Canada. Representing KZ Gaming, KZG, it is time. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Blackburn LE, we have the Canadian Zerg player representing Shopify Rebellion. She just brought down one of the best in Poland. She just brought down a laser. It is Scarlett. Let's go. Very spicy ZvT. Unlike Eric and unlike Kellizer, Scarlett has not been playing Age of Empires 4. She has been practicing StarCraft quite a bit, and you may be surprised about that. Both Scarlett and Estrella have been, again, practicing very hard leading up to DreamHack Last Chance, because they know that they have a decent chance to actually make it through and be a part of that final major event before IEM Katowice. So it's great to see that she's back on that grind. I can't say the same for all of our American players. If you look at the bracket and if you look at Wikipedia, it will specify that Neeb was invited to this event, but Neeb declined the event. It does seem like Neeb is currently taking a break from StarCraft. He's not really practicing or looking to compete, so he will not be a part of DreamHack Last Chance. Whether or not he'll be a part of DreamHack, of IEM Katowice, of the World Finals, is yet to be seen. It's not a good sign hearing that Neeb isn't going to be a part of this, but I do hope that, like Probe, for example, like we know Probe isn't playing any StarCraft right now, but he's still going to be participating in IEM Katowice. So kind of like him, I do hope that even if Neeb is taking a break, that he will, you know, be there and represent as best he can. And maybe even in the lead up to IEM Katowice, will be practicing and informed. I'm pretty sure it's one of those things where Neeb, he's already confirmed for IEM, so it doesn't even matter. Like he doesn't need to be a part of DreamHack Last Chance for those EPT points. Ooh. Meanwhile, Timey's here. He's across the map with his Reaper, and I'm sure he's shocked to see that we have a standard opener. Unlike the last two matches that he's played against Zerg, like we don't have an early pool, we don't have an early lair, we don't have an early Roach Warren, like there's nothing crazy going on, and everything is pretty standard. But to be fair, Time doesn't know that. But now he should. He's like, oh, it's a third base on Time? Crazy. It's not a 2-base play? Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. So now Time can breathe a sigh of relief. I'm sure now a lot of the pressure is off, and he can actually play a game. And likewise, he also goes for an economic opener. He does go for his third CC before Starport, prioritizing his economy, prioritizing that next step in this game. So it's not going to be, again, any of the crazy early game aggression that we've been seeing already this morning. This morning for me, this afternoon for everyone else, I guess. As no! Oh my god! Steadfast, please. Ay, ay, ay. Exclamation mark for nada. Steadfast's internet. As you can see, I'm not the only English caster in this series. There is another, and I don't blame him. Steadfast, I believe he is Canadian, so it would make sense for him to attempt to follow Scarlett, right? And her run. So, yeah, it makes sense for him to be here, but at the same time, feels bad, man. I hope everything is okay. Again, I'm pretty sure he is currently casting full-time or streaming full-time, so I do hope that everything is okay. And it is nothing major going on, like, I don't know, his electricity going down or something. Oof, as Steadfast is taken out of this game. But yeah, hopefully his internet is okay. Hopefully power is okay where he is, and he'll be able to rejoin the tournament at some point this evening. Meanwhile, so yeah, hopefully everything's okay. Meanwhile, again, nothing too crazy going on. Ooh, but I spoke too soon because Kellizer has not stopped his Hellion production. Oh, Slowling! Can he get in? Up! Up! Oh, and it looks like the Ling will get in. Ling speed just finishes up. No! He wastes precious seconds attacking the gas, quickly checking the vision of Scarlett. She does not get behind the mineral line. She does not scout the armory. Ay. That was such a crucial scout. I was shocked. I was amazed by the fact that she got into the main base, but the Ling's priority was not scouting, so she wasn't able to spot that armory. The Hellions are coming across the map alongside a couple of these Marines. Oh my god, even a couple of Widowmines. So a bit of a Widowmine drop is going to come out and make use of that armory as well. And I'm sure Time is well aware that Scarlett hasn't seen this, as the Hellions are about to rock up and morph into those Hellbats. Boom, there we go. Thankfully for Scarlett, we do have plenty of Queens to help defend, but no Lings. 22 Lings are in production. We need them now, as they're about to pop out. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure the Queen count is high enough that Scarlett should be fine. Like, in current meta, it's typical to make this amount of Queens. She even pulled the Injecting Queens from the main and the natural, and with all of that, she was able to push this away. But mad respect to Time, because he didn't overextend. He waited. He just now waited until both those Queens backed off, and now, only fighting 4, he can push on forward and maybe try and focus them down. Just barely, he is not. But again, he doesn't overcommit. He keeps the majority of this army alive, backs off to fight another day. So I love that. There's a lot of Terran players where, especially when they're going for a Hellbat build like this, they just kind of sometimes turn off their brain and just just try and brute force it, you know, and just try and get as much damage as possible. But Time a little bit more reserved with how he controlled his army there. Very nicely done. At the same time, here comes that Widowmine drop. 4 Widowmines. Bearing in mind, we have an armory, so detection is required to deal with this. We do have a spore in the main, actually a spore in every single base, so we have detection in every single base, so Scarlett doesn't have to worry too much about that. Oh, 2 Widowmines do get into the main base, only a single drone. Oh, he's chasing them! Up! Oh, the Widowmine shot will not go off. Meanwhile, we do have a Widowmine here at the natural as well, but Scarlett's reactions are pretty goddamn good. The Queens are more than enough to deal with this, and the Widowmine goes down without a single shot going off. Oh my god. That was insane. So beautiful defense there by Scarlett. She's able to clean up all of those Widowmines as well as the drop itself. And now she's free to just continue on. So despite Time trying to make the best use of that armory, he just hasn't found too much value. We do see him being a little bit annoying, and honestly, this is probably more damage than those Widowmines dealt at all. A lot less mining time, and was even able to kill one of those drones with just a single Viking. So very nicely done. At least Time is able to have eyes on that 4th base as well as the 5th. This Viking is doesn't actually see the hatchery, but he knows what his target is, and that is the gold base. He cannot let that stand, so he is on the way. Meanwhile, Scarlett is getting set up for the attack, already clearing up these rocks, getting set up with her pathways, but Bailing's speed is still not done, only halfway, so it's going to be so difficult, nigh impossible to push into this. Marines, they come in, tank sieges up immediately, Scarlett cancels. She's going to try, she thinks better of it though. Again, trying to push into this, especially with Hellbats protecting your tanks, it's going to be so difficult. I feel like Scarlett recognizes that. She's getting ready with Banelings just in case the army tries to push in. Actually goes for a counterattack, but the reinforcements are at home. The Marines do not push into the natural base, but they'll get a couple of kills here at the 3rd. Meanwhile, she's just waiting a little bit more. In 3 seconds, Baneling speed is about to finish up. And with Baneling speed, she can push in. Oh, but the hatchery does go down. Meanwhile, the Banelings are tanked. Those were the only Banelings. Oh, God. Scarlett does get the tank though, at least, but the bio army just stims forward. Oh my god, she's trying to morph in Banelings now, but again, she's already lost so much. She lost a decent amount of those Lings, even the base itself. At least Scarlett had a 5th on the way, so she was able to transfer her drones over. Again, Time is unaware of this. I feel like if Time knew about this base, instead of rotating towards the south, he would have rotated upwards towards this base and maybe even taken it out. Finally, now he's going to check, but enough time has passed where Scarlett was able to reproduce an army. And get a couple of Banelings up and running. Oh boy, so now finally Time does scan and he confirms, oh god, he confirms that the base is there. Is forced back. And behind all of this, again, Time, he actually defended incredibly well. Despite that Ling run by, he didn't really lose too many SCVs at all. And now he can get his own gold base. The time has been able to keep up quite well. The big downside though is this creep. Like Scarlett, she's renowned for her creep spread, and she's already getting over the halfway point at this point. Time is going to try and clear up as much of it as he can, but pushing this deep into creep with only 2 Widow Mines, it's incredibly ballsy. Speaking of ballsy, we do have a Baneling run by, and it will get into the mineral line. 7 SCVs go down. At the same time, we have a drop here at the gold base. A couple of drones will get picked up. Oh, pick up, Bobby, no! He does barely pick up. My god. And again, like, I really worry about time pushing out here without enough Widow Mines. Finally, he does get a couple more out. He's finally pushing out with his tanks. His tanks this entire game were at home. At that natural. But Scarlett is getting ready for us around. The tanks finally siege up a little bit later. The Widow Mine shot goes off, and it does connect with the Banelings. But there are still just so many Banelings regardless. She pushes on forward, but she cannot break the tanks. And in come the reinforcements. Time has a lot of momentum. Scan confirms, the army confirms that the Banelings are still on the way. I love the spread. The tanks are pretty far back though. There we go. He's trying to scan. He's trying to clear up as much of this creep as possible. This does give Scarlett a lot of time though. She is able to get her Banelings up. Working on an infestation bit behind this. A little bit late. Not gonna lie. I feel like a hive could already be on the way. Instead, she goes for a run by. But again, time is already here at home. He doesn't parade across the map. Widow Mine shots do go off, but not really on the main army. The splits are pretty good, though. All the Banelings will get picked off. Never mind, another wave comes in. Oh, again, the splits, though. Time, he just handles everything, and now what is there left? Only a handful of queens. We do have more Banelings, but there's only 2 ready right now. If Time knew that, he could just keep on pushing. Instead, again, he plays it safe. He just focuses down the gold base. But if only he knew, he probably could have taken out all these queens. Again, though, he doesn't want to take that risk. Meanwhile, 3-3 now on the way, or at least +3 attack for now. Hopefully, Time doesn't forget about +3 armor. Trying to do something about this top left-hand base. Scarlett, meanwhile, getting ready for a bit of a surround. But Time doesn't take the bait. Instead, his reinforcements do hit the bottom, and he does force a cancel. Time's kind of pulling Scarlett apart. The biggest thing that I'm worried about is Scarlett's her creep. Like, now she's trying to respread, but like, because of how aggressive Time has been, like, we saw how impressive Scarlett's creep spread was earlier, but now it's really being forced back. And that's just it. She doesn't even go for a big fight. Oh my god. GG gets called. And Time takes the first game. Oh my god. I apologize. I was a little bit caught off guard by the timing of that GG, just because like Scarlett wasn't out of it. Like, sure, her hive was late. Sure, she was down in supply. Her creep wasn't looking that good, and she was struggling to get a 5th base up and running. I understand that things were not looking amazing for Scarlett, but it's not like she had a 0% chance of winning. But I guess because of all those disadvantages, she was like, you know what, I'm just not even gonna try and bother here. I'd rather just reset and approach game 2 with a more fresh mind. Oh, that was beautiful. And hopefully Steadfast's internet is okay. As it looks like Steadfast will not join us for game number 2. If Steadfast did come back, if his internet came back, then I imagine he would have gotten into another series. Actually, I don't really know. Then what happened there? Oh yeah, like me, amor platónico. Shaking my head near Shaggy, shaking my head. As here we go, we are diving into game number 2 of this best of 3 series, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the Canadian Zerg player representing Shopify Rebellion. Currently down in this series, but not out. It's is Scarlett. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the Chinese Terran, the best player in all of China, representing KaiZ Gaming, KZG. It is time. Oh my god, I'm just catching up on the chat right now. Steadfast isn't even up and running. Ah, okay. It looks like, yeah, the issues were a little bit severe there. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But yeah, hopefully everything is okay long term, I should say. I know Steadfast, he does cast quite a bit. Not as much as us, but but quite a bit anyway. And yeah, hopefully there's no long term issues there, and he's able to return maybe even later on in this broadcast. As, again, there's still plenty more matches to go. A couple more hours left, I should say, as we get into this game. And, again, nothing too crazy so far. Just hatch gas pool from Scarlett. No proxies. Everything is looking quite standard here in Game 2 between these two players. But yeah, apparently, Steadfast has been having a couple of issues, ongoing issues, I should say. But yeah, hopefully everything works itself out as we get here into game number 2. And we'll see how Scarlett approaches this. What I will say is that I'm a little bit surprised when it comes to the vetoes. What I mean by that is that Blackburn was game 1. Blackburn is considered to be a pretty favored Terran map. Why? Because of how small it is and how congested it is. And because of that, how strong those ground pushes can be, those bio-tank pushes specifically. And we saw that on full display. We saw how aggressive Time was, and how Scarlett was really struggling to defend and keep up. And a lot of that is because of the map. So I'm really, I didn't get to see them, but I'm really curious as to what the vetoes were and the reasoning behind the vetoes as well. To be fair, Blackburn isn't the only map like that. Berlingrad is another one. Curious Minds is another one. Like, there are some decent maps for Terran when it comes to aggressive Terran bio pushes, I should say. Oh, so I'm sure they were prioritized instead, and it was rough. A very rough game 1 there for Scarlett. But she should have an easier time here on Hardwire. It's not like this is the biggest map. It's not like this is a Glittering Ashes or a Pride of Altaris, or even a 2000 Atmospheres. But again, she will be having a little bit more breathing room here. So again, should be able to hold on a little bit easier. Meanwhile, Time is actually going for the same opener again, going for a 3rd CC before Starport, so very economic, no early aggression, no early pushes, but that won't stop him from throwing down an armory if he so wished. I do hope that he does second guess that though. We did see that the armory didn't really come into play too much. I'm sure there was a moment where he almost broke through all those queens, but despite not being scouted, Scarlett was still able to defend quite well against that Hellbat push, and incredibly well against the Widow Mines as well. So because of that, like, I do hope that Time rethinks that strategy and doesn't go for it 2 games in a row. Meanwhile, speaking of strategy, Scarlett does throw down a Roach Warren. Oh my god. I'm quickly checking, she did still invest into Ling speed, but she didn't pull out a gas, and she is going to go for fast Roaches. So she's looking to be the aggressor. Meanwhile, I was just talking about the Hellbat push. Ay. Time throws down an armory again, and this is going to be so much more worse because what are Hellbats going to do against Roaches? Nothing, mate. Not just offensively, but what about defensively? Because of this opener and because of the commitment into this armory, like, there's no tanks. There's no tech lab on the factory. He is going for a second factory, though. Oh my god, he's going mech. Oh my god. But the Roaches are hitting now, and because that Time will not have a tank out. Oh my god, here we go. The Lings are already coming across the map. We do have a drop, and this drop will spot these Roaches, but Time, does he turn around? No, it's a little bit too late. He is going right for that mineral line. Scarlett, though, she does spot the drop herself. The queens are already being repositioned, and she's not going to take any damage at all, or at least she shouldn't. Again, yeah, the queens are already here. Drop is forced back, and in comes the Roaches. There are a couple of Widow Mines, but if Scarlett does spot this, she will be able to deal with them with the Ravagers, or even bait them out with Lings. Oh my god, like so. Oh, she's trying to bait them out, but time is on point. He does unburrow just in time. But he loses the Widow Mines anyway. One of them at least. The other barely survives, but the natural base is completely forfeit. Hellions are being morphed in. But where are the tanks? He's supply blocked! No! He needs a tank desperately. Oh, the Widow Mines do get biled down. What is there left to defend? The wall is not a wall. The Lings are flooding in. And with the death of this Deeper, it will supply block time even further. He does now have a tank though, because he lost enough SCVs that it freed up supplies. So thank God for that, I guess. And the tank will help. Oh my god, time! No! He didn't pick it up! The CC went down? Question mark? Aye. Road Ravager, Lings are flooding in. Even if the tank comes out, it's not going to be long for this world. There's no way that it survives. As Road Ravager pushes on forward, tank does get out. It is going to siege up here behind the army. But the Lings are already on top of it. They're already on top of everything. And just like that, Scarlett, you were worried about her in game 1, but here in game 2, she fights back hard. GG. We are going to an ace match. Ugh. Oh my god. Oh, and here we go. We're getting ready to dive into game number 3. Speaking of game 3, massive shout out. It did happen towards the end there. Massive shout out to Daunted232 in the chat. Thank you, Daunted. Thank you so much for subscribing for 41 months. That's a lot of months. Thank you so much. Daunted, one of our long-time supporters of the channel. Not the longest. I think Soko is like 48 months or something like that. But yeah, 41 months. That's a long time. Thank you so much for the love, for the support, and I hope you're having a good day, mate. Quack. Quack, quack, quack. And here we go. We are diving into game number 3 and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Curious Minds LE. We have the Canadian Zerg player representing Shopify Rebellion, winning game 2 and bringing this all the way to game number 3. It is Scarlett. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Curious Minds LE, we have the Chinese Terran player, the best player in all of China, representing KZ Gaming, KZG. It is time. Oh boy. I see Wildcat in the chat talking about Road Ravager. Yeah, I mean, especially on these smaller maps. Oh my god, as Scarlett goes pool first. Oh my. I was going to start saying that, yeah, especially on these smaller maps, like that's why Road Regression has become quite popular in ZvT. You know, whether it's Blackburn, whether it's Berlingrad, or even maps like this, like Curious Minds. Like Road pushes are very popular nowadays, and they can hit hard and take advantage of that rush distance. Meanwhile, Scarlett did go for a pool first, and I'm really curious to see what she does with this. Obviously, she's making a wave of Lings. Lings, their goal here is to go across the map as soon as possible. But with this early spawning pool, it can also lead to an early Roach Warren. So I'm really curious to see what she does with this gas, whether she commits to Ling speed, or if she delays Ling speed and goes into something a little bit more cheekier. So we will keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, the Lings are already headed across the map. And, ooh, the SCV will not spot the... he just barely caught the edge of those Lings. Regardless, he'll go up, and he will scout that, hey, the timing of this hatchery is a little bit off. Is well aware that it is a pool first, and because of that, the Reaper should stay here at home. And he does, but he misses the Lings. Oh, feels bad, man. It's so much safer if the Reaper just chilled here at the natural base, but he was trying to hunt them down, and the Lings do dive into that natural. The SCV does survive. Nice premature pool. Scarlett is trying to focus this down and trying to force a cancel, but I don't think she will. Can she get an SCV? Up! 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 She's trying, but she will not get an SCV. These things will be cleaned up, but at least she did force a little bit of a delay on the CC. Oh, so close. So yeah, very nicely done by Time to go, oh my god, to go across the map and scout this. Meanwhile, Time is very paranoid. He throws down a bunker. He is afraid of a Roach follow-up. He knows, mate. He knows. But really, he knows nothing because, oh god, he's going to be able to delay this third. Feels bad, man. I was just going to say that there is no Roach Warren, but he is playing this safe though. I don't blame him. It's the ace match, right? You got to be careful. But because he did see that drone and because he saw that Scarlett was trying to take a third base, he does cancel that bunker. It is not necessary. There are no roaches. Meanwhile, Scarlett, her third is delayed, but not by too long as she does rotate around, goes for the southern base instead, the vertical third. Unfortunately, this does mean that it will impede her creep spread a little bit, especially because of the bug. I'm sure everyone has seen the fact that you can't really spread creep in this area too well. And that does mean that if she did want to go for a roach push later on, that it will be quite delayed. She won't have as much momentum with her. Meanwhile, Time rotates around, does confirm that the third base is on the way, so he knows that there's no two-base shenanigans coming his way, and this time he opens up with a 1-1-1. Again, because of this opening, it also shows me that he's afraid of roaches, because Banshees do so well, like 1-1-1 openers do so well against roaches. Banshees, obviously, roaches don't shoot up, and Banshees can have a field day. Speaking of, and I guess there's reason for him to be afraid of roaches, a roach horn is thrown down. Oh god, meanwhile the Lings do flood into the natural base. Some of them are going to keep these Hellions busy. The rest do go into the mineral line, and it looks like 3 SCVs are going to get picked off. Even more! 5? 5. 5 SCVs and a lot of lost mining time. Unfortunately, there was no wall here at the natural base. There was nothing stopping all those Lings, and Scarlett got a lot of damage. Also, I believe, scouted that Banshee. Yep, she did scout the opener. So there we go. That's why we have spores being thrown down all over the place. She's well aware of the threat of those Banshees. And because of that, that may even stop her from even creating roaches. We do see double Evo chambers thrown down. We'll see if she even makes use of this Roach Warren. I'm very curious as to what happens with that. Oh. Lings are going to go across the map once again, but this time there is a wall. This time the army is in position, so Lings aren't going to do too much here. Scarlett does get forced back. At the same time, we do have 2 Cloak Banshees looking to dive into the third base. But again, we have Spores, we have Queens. Maybe the Banshees can get a drone up. Oh, they can get some creep. Never mind. Never mind. There was an opportunity for some damage, but I mean, it's just a creep trimmer. So it's not the biggest of deals. Time does get forced back. So far, these Banshees haven't really paid for themselves, but maybe he can find some damage elsewhere. Meanwhile, we do see Roach Speed on the way. These upgrades are indeed for +1 range, so Scarlett is going to go for a big Roach Ravager push. And that can do so well in Curious Minds. The third base location, regardless of which third you take, is pretty exposed. And, like, oh my god, like, these ground pushes can take advantage of that. To be fair, though, it works both ways, right? Meanwhile, the Banshees are going to dip in and quickly checking their vision. They do see the Roach Warren and they do see it researching. So now Time is well aware of the threat of roaches. He should be aware of the investment into them as well. So a very nice scout with those Banshees. Didn't have to waste a scan or anything like that. As he is looking to set himself up. I was about to say set himself up for a third base. Oh my god, third is on location. It is so late because he's been focusing so much more on this army. He's pushing out across the map. This is seen by the creep. Scarlett, can she hold? She's trying to pump out as many roaches as she can, but this is a bit of an anti-timing. Her upgrades are not done. Oh god, she needs to wait a little bit longer for 1-1. Meanwhile, Time, he scans and he's like, nope. He's like, nah, mate. I'm good. I don't want any of that. Oh my god, even an awkward split here. There's a couple of units do get picked off. But because the threat is being made, this can be biled down. Yo, Scarlett, let's go! There we go, we do see a couple of biles. Does not connect with the SCV. But at least Scarlett is now aware of the fact that there is a third base. So she knows it's not a 2-base all-in. But again, this is so late. As Time is getting his third up and running, Scarlett is getting her fourth. Meanwhile, 1-1 is done. 2-2 is on the way. Oh, look at this. She's reading the chat. Infestation Pit? Fungals? Let's go! For the past 2 series, earlier we were watching Eric versus Time as well. A lot of people, myself included, were like, yo, Fungals? Like, that'd be amazing, especially when you're so committed to Roach Ravager. Like, that's how you really lock an army down. That's how you connect with your bios, especially when you're up against Bio. But we just haven't seen it all day today. Until now. Potentially. Of course, she could always just go into a hive and go into Vipers instead, but I do hope that we do see pathogen glands on the production tab and we do see some infestors. Like, they'll help her army so much. Meanwhile, the army of Time is pushing out across the map. There was no creep here on the northern side of the map, and because of that, oh my god, the 4 tanks are already here. Jesus Christ, and I don't know if Scarlett can defend this base. All 4 tanks do siege up. Scarlett's trying to find an angle of attack, but again, pushing into 4 tanks like this is almost impossible. She's gonna try though. The base will go down. She's pushing on forward. How good are the bios gonna be? She's trying to get us around, and she will get on top of those tanks. All 4 of them will go down. There are only 2 medevacs with this army as well, surprisingly enough. Time will escape. And was that worth it? Sure, he got a hatchery, but at the cost of 4 tanks? Without those tanks, Scarlett can counterattack. What is there at home to defend? Just a handful of Marines and Marauders. Oh god, there is a tank on the high ground, but it doesn't really cover all of this base, so immediately she targets down the CC. A couple of bios go down on it as well. I don't think she'll be able to get a kill, but at least she'll be able to get a kill on some of these SCVs. I say some, the majority, 11 SCVs go down. Ay, ay, ay. And hey, we wanted it, we got it, mate. Infestors are in production. No pathogen glands, but, I mean, you know, we get half of what we wanted. It's all good. It's all good. And Scarlett, she has such a lead right now. She does double expand to make up for the fact that she lost her 4th base. She's clearing up the rocks to make it easier to engage into armies. She's finally spreading creep here towards the northern half as well, so she gets eyes and she can push into these fights with a little bit more confidence. And just everything is going Scarlett's way right now. I mean, for Christ's sake, 2-2 is still not done. Plus 2 defense only just started. Which again, I find hard to believe. Oh my god. It just goes to show like how much Time has been struggling when it comes to his economy with his late 3rd base, with all the dead SCVs in the early game, even here in the mid game, and losing all of his high-tech units. Meanwhile, I do appreciate that Scarlett isn't tunnel visioning. What I mean by that is that, I mean, there is a world where you just go Roach Ravager with Infestors for Fungals, and that's kind of it. But she's working on Hive, and she's working on a Hydra Den. So she's looking to eventually transition into Hydra Lurker Viper, which, again, is pretty amazing nowadays as a late-game army composition in ZvT. And those range upgrades, they'll come into play as well. As there we go, Lurker Den is thrown down. Does she even need the Lurkers? Oh my god! Oh, the Fungal! Oh, somehow the Banshee barely survives. There we go. Second Fungal goes down. Banshee finally falls. But what I was gonna say is, like, does she really need to tech up to end this game? We've seen Time's defenses earlier, and even with all these depots, like, oh my god, he was set up so well. He can definitely still engage and win a fight against this Roach Ravager, especially because 2 Fungals were already wasted. Like, there's not enough energy for a Fungal anymore. Uh-oh. That Banshee was the real MVP. Here we go, the Marauders are stimming on forward. Tanks as well, dodging the biles. And without Fungals, like, how do you fight this? The army just stims on forward, and that's it. The entire Roach Ravager army just gets annihilated. Finally, we have a Fungal, but it's a little bit too late. The army of Scarlett is already gone. We do see Time just pushing on forward even further. The tanks are coming up the rear as well. And now there is no more energy left on those Infestors. Again, that's why it's so crucial that 2 of those Fungals were wasted on that Banshee. They were needed for this fight. But it's a little bit too late. The army sims on forward, gets on top of the Infestors, gets on top of the base as well. We do see a decent surround, but I just don't know if the numbers are there. And the tank spread is insane. And with that, this is the final fight of Scarlett. GG gets called, and Time takes the game and takes the series 2-1. Oh, GG. Oh, she was doing so well. She was doing so well. Oh god. And again, like having two fungals when the army is coming at you like that, it does incredibly well to just slow things down. I don't know if she would have won the fight, but it wouldn't have been as one-sided. I think I can definitely say that for certain. If she had them, you could argue maybe she was taking up a little bit too quickly. As in she was working on lurkers, which was fine, but she was also working on adrenal glands. Because she had so much supply in Roach Ravager, she couldn't really transition smoothly into Hydras and then lurkers because you need spare supply to do so. But yeah, what a strong push from Time, and again, everything kind of lined up for him in a really good way. I'm just watching the replay. Oh god, and with that, congratulations, Time does move on to a qualifying match. Let me just quickly refresh the bracket. Does he have an opponent? And it looks like he does not. He is going to be waiting for the winner of Lambo and Showtime that is currently going on the European server. I'm not too sure who's covering them. I want to say Pig. I'm pretty sure Pig is, actually maybe Rotterdam. I didn't notice, but Rotterdam is also casting this in English. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of them was over on the European server covering Lambo versus Showtime. And the winner of that does go up against Time.